What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast, and today we will be breaking down the overall draft grade for the Philadelphia Eagles and grading each in particular pick, where they were picked, what position, my quick thoughts, and we will give a grade. But before we get into that, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video or a live stream. Also, smash the like button for your boy, it goes a long way. Follow your boy on Twitter, that's where we talk Eagle news behind the YouTube scenes. With all that out the way, let's get into these draft grades. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the UDFAs. We got a couple good ones. We got Jamie Newman, the quarterback, and we also got the wide receiver out of Florida, Trevon Grimes, who I will be having on the channel on Thursday. So we're going to do the talking then. But let's get into this draft now. As the season gets to that point where we just got nothing to talk about, I will be doing bigger breakdowns on these players in particular. So I'm just going to give you my general thoughts after watching a little tape for especially the later round guys that I'm not too sure of. But let's start this off in the first round. Pick number 10 after trading up with the Cowboys. Yes, we gave up our 84th overall pick, but remember, we were the 6th to the 12th to the 10th. So in that process, we gained a first round pick for next year, a 4th round pick 123, but we end up losing the 84th. So we lose the 84th, but we get 2 picks. That's a win-win right there. And we draft Devonta Smith, Alabama wide receiver, with the 10th overall pick right in front of the Giants. That's just the icing on the cake. And we know he was the Heisman winner, 117 receptions, 1,856 yards, 23 touchdowns, numbers that the Eagles receivers are like, what is that? I mean, if you look at last season, the Eagles receivers combined for 2,082 yards. That was the 3rd worst. The only 2 teams that were worse for receiver yardage were the Patriots and the Ravens. Huh? You can't be in that category. The Ravens is a good team, but they run the ball too much. And the Patriots, I mean, Cam Newton was running the ball too, so we can't be in that category. And do I really got to even talk about Devonta Smith? A technical route runner, can separate on the long ball, the short ball, intermediate, whatever you need him to do. And let's not act like he don't got hands. People want to talk that he's 170 and he's afraid to take a hit. I seen him take some hits. I seen him get back up. Now, you do not want him to get smacked across the middle. You do not want him returning punts or nothing like that. But this kid has strong hands. He makes contested catches. He goes up and get it. And yes, it's going to be the pros. It's going to be a little bit harder to separate, but I have no fear in this guy being able to come in and get close to 1,000 yards his first season. Automatically the number 1. Like I said, we gained the 1st round pick, 4th round pick, lost the 3rd, got our guy. That is a A+ draft for the 1st round pick in Devonta Smith. Now let's move on to the 37th pick. It's a little argumentative. You got people on it, you got people against it. Landon Dickerson out of Alabama with the 37th overall pick. He's 6'5", 333 pounds. In 2020, he gave up 1 sack. Now, this dude is a monster. He pushes you off the ball. He opens up run lanes. He blocks from different positions. He takes the right angle, great hand-foot placement. He does everything right from a bully ball type of perspective and a smart, get the line set, set the rotation, and just takes care of the offensive line. Matter of fact, he can play all 5 spots in the offensive line. There's nothing about his game that we don't like except for one thing. Can he play 16 or 17 games? Now, I know he had an ACL when we first drafted him, but, as y'all told me and I found out, he had 2 ACLs, both knees. His ankles are bad. He had tightrope surgery on his ankle. So you're talking about 3 to 4 season-ending injuries. And yes, the last season-ending injury came at the end of the season. So you got to see him the majority of this season. But you're talking about a 333-pound kid. Yes, he's doing cartwheels, but you need your knees. You need your ankles. You get rolled up on all the time in the NFL. It's scary. It's scary. And so with that being said, the risk reward is wild. The risk is there. but the reward could be so high. The Giants, the Chargers, there were a lot of teams behind the Eagles just waiting for us to pass on them so they can get them. So there looks to be a clean build of health throughout the NFL, but it was a build of health that wasn't as thoroughly looked at as it would if there was a combine and all that other stuff. So it is definitely a risk. If he can stay healthy, this is an A+ pick. But because you got that big risk factor for your 37th overall pick and he's coming into the league hurt, so he can't be an impact player, I got to put this as a B-. I'm going to go B- just because the potential's there. But I got to give it a B- because he's coming into the league hurt. This is a future pick, and it's going to make the future really bright or very dim. Let's move on to the 3rd overall pick, who we did have the 70th overall, but we trade back. We do not get the UCF cornerback in Aaron Robinson. There was some talk about that, but we draft defensive tackle out of Louisiana Tech, Milton Williams. This guy's 6'3", 284 pounds, and 2020, he had an okay season. When you look at just the numbers, it doesn't jump off the page as productive. He had 4.5 sacks, 45 tackles, 10 tackles for loss in the 2020 season. But what makes me understand his consistency with that level is because in 2019, he had 5.5 sacks and 9 tackles for loss. So you're talking about 10 sacks over 2 years, 19 tackle for loss. But what jumped out is certain flashes. Throughout certain games, you just see how did he do that? Where's that? And you want to see that more consistently, and that's what he showed in his pro day. This dude was probably rated a 4th-ish, maybe 5th-ish round pick, but then his pro day came where he ran a 4.6. He benched 500 pounds. The dude looked like an animal and showed so much upside, and everybody dropped him on his board to the 70s. If you look at a lot of smart people's board, he was picked right around where he should be, between 70 and 77. That's where people had him. Guys like Daniel Jeremiah, all these guys had him about right around there. Now, he's a little small for D tackle in the NFL, but you can bounce him inside, outside, and benching 500 shows he has the strength to probably match up a little bit with guys in the center, the guards in the NFL. And if not, you bounce him outside until he puts more weight on. He's a very versatile, and again, we want to talk about this D-line being heavy. It is, but where's Fletch going to be in a couple years? Where is Brandon Graham? So you're getting a jump start on the defense as the senior guy was upset with Howie. Jonathan Gannon was thumping his fist in the air. So you got to give at least a little bit of props. After watching tape and really looking at the combine that you guys kept telling me to look, I'm going to have to give this pick a B-. I'm going to have to go with a B- just because of his versatility inside and outside. Like I said, strong feet, strong hands, little hands, and he has to be more effective in the D tackle position to really reach his full potential. But the athleticism is there. So let's move on to the 4th round pick, 123. Texas Tech cornerback Zach or however you say his first name, Zach McPherson. And hopefully he's fearless when he's playing against wide receivers in the NFL. But he's 5'11", 196 pounds. He was first team All Big 12. You know how the Big 12 is on defense. But he did have 4 interceptions. He had 10 passes defended in 2020. And, he displays the ability to move with the corner. He can mirror the corner, stay on the routes, and he does show some type of competitiveness in challenging the windows for quarterbacks to squeeze it in. Now, if you look at his back pedal, he needs to improve that. Sometimes he gets out of his back pedal late. He's a little bit slow with it. But the kid is physical, and he does have that mirroring ability. So I'm looking to see what Jonathan Gannon can do with this kid. I wanted a member to be added to the secondary earlier on, but because we got this guy and he does have some things he got to work on, 5'11", 196, I'm going to give it a C+. Now let's move on to the 5th round pick at 150, Kenneth Gainwell, running back out of Memphis. He is 5'8", 201. He rushed for 1,459 yards. This guy was productive In Memphis, he had 13 rushing touchdowns. He had 3 receiving touchdowns. He caught 51 passes for 601 yards. I mean, so you're talking about 16 overall touchdowns. He can smell the end zone. The dude is electric. He's not the biggest guy, but he's not going to shy away from contact. He got a little elusiveness to him. He runs a 4.4. And let's talk about his receiving ability. He's not catching these balls on real routes and stuff like that. He does that as well. But he's going up and get it. Back shoulder fades, wearing the number 19, looking like Kenny Golladay a little bit. A short version of Kenny Golladay. I mean, he's just schooling linebackers. He's schooling safeties. He's beating some cornerbacks. He was a wide receiver converted to running back. And you saw what a guy like Antonio Gibson did out of Memphis going to the Washington football team. I think this guy is a Alvin Kamara, Darren Sproles type, but listen, his receiving ability is legit. You could probably put him in the slot, line him up. You can do things with him how Nick Sirianni wanted to do with Nahi Himes. It's going to be incredible. The kid is the only player, or was the last player since 1997 in the FBS to have 200 receiving yards and 100 yards rushing in a game. I mean, he's a baller. And at the 5th round, 150, this guy was in Daniel Jeremiah's top 150. He was rated like at 78 or 85. Don't quote me. I will put it in at the end of picture. We got 7 guys of our 9 draftees in Daniel Jeremiah's top 150. Huh? People in the 220s and Daniel Jeremiah's top 150. And this guy was rated inside the top 100. You got him at 150. I'm giving this pick a A-. Now, let's move on. We got our 6th round pick, 189th. It's Marlin. Can't say his last name, so we're going to call him MT, the D tackle out of USC. This guy's 6'2", 307 pounds, and I mean, what else can I say? Look at him. The dude has power. He flashes power, and he uses his hand to knock blockers off. So pretty much this guy is a nasty run stopper, but he's not going to offer much in pass rushing. He's not going to be able to get off the ball that quick. He's not going to be able to have that quick startup speed. He'll get some sacks if the quarterback falls into him, but you're putting this guy in a 1-gap scheme or 2-gap scheme to succeed against the run. It's a situational player. Who knows if he'll ever get that pass rushing ability. He just doesn't have that versatility in his game. But as Fletcher leaves, you might need a guy, especially in situations that you can just drop in there, play the run. At pick 189, he was a guy inside the top 150 of Daniel Jeremiah's. I'm going to have to give this a B grade, a solid B. Yeah, we're going to stick with a solid B. Let's move on to the other 6th round pick and Teron Jackson, defensive end out of Coastal Carolina, with pick number 191. So another 6th round pick. He's 6'2", 254. Last season, he had 8.5 sacks. And when you combine his last 2 seasons, it's 18.5 sacks. So he was getting some production out of the small school Coastal Carolina. He's quick off the edge. He got high energy. He's pretty gap sound, although he needs to improve on anchoring his strength and, shutting blocks. He's not the greatest at that. He can get tied up in his blocks. I could definitely see him as a rotational piece because he does come in and give you that quick spark. He's an energy guy. He'll do what he got to do. I got this as a B- because we're picking him up in the 191 overall pick, and he was productive. I mean, you can't knock the production. I just think he's going to have some trouble translating it to the NFL, but we'll see. That's where coaching comes in. So we go into our last 2 picks, 7th round. Jacoby Stevens out of LSU with pick 224. He's 6'1", 212 pounds. He runs to the ball with conviction, and he's a big hitter. He wants to lay the hammer if he sees you in the middle of the field. Now his downhill discipline needs to be worked on. Sometimes he doesn't hit the right gaps. You got to fix that in the NFL. He does have adequate ball skill, but the further you play him back, the deeper he goes, the more less effective he becomes. That's why he's that in-betweener, linebacker, safety, box safety, nickel package linebacker. You want him playing in the box. knocking receivers who come across the middle, helping out in the run, trying to stop a tight end or a running back in short area, but you don't want him playing back deep. That's where he gets less ineffective. And so if you keep him in that linebacker hybrid role, we're playing to his strength. And so because of that, I'm going to give it a B at 224. And last but not least, Patrick Johnson, defensive end / linebacker out of Tulane, 7th round, last pick, 234. I mean, he's 6'2", 240, so he's a little undersized as well. He's viewed likely as a 3-4 outside linebacker. I'm not sure how the Eagles are going to use him unless they put him at a, like an off-ball linebacker, stand up, rush the passer type guy. Despite being physically gifted, he knows how to get it done. He's one of 4 players in the FBS to have double-digit sacks. He had 10 sacks on the season last year, and he just knows how to get from point A to point B. Nothing pretty, but he's relentless. His pursuit is there, and again, it's not pretty. He just gets to A to B and gets it done. In the NFL, though, the lack of size, lack of strength, the lack of not having too much of tools in his bag because he just gets there against, more lesser talent, it's going to be difficult. But this is a guy who I think is going to compete for a rotational spot in the linebacker position. He's going to fight. Camp guy. Hopefully he makes a team. I'm going to give this one a C+, even though Daniel Jeremiah had him, I think, inside the top 150. He was close. He was like at 149, 150-ish. But definitely look at Daniel Jeremiah's top 150. 7 out of 9. 7 out of 9. So when I look at this draft, if you're looking for the Eagles to make 2021 so much better, we didn't do it. We didn't address early linebacker, early secondary, whether it's safety or corner. We didn't do that. But what we did do is set ourselves up for depth, upside, great positional value, to go into next year where we have 3 first-round picks, maybe a second and 2/3 and 2/5, and because we did trade some of our picks this year for a 5th next year. So you're talking about setting yourself up for possibly getting that secondary next year, but the Eagles said this is a rebuild and we're going to stay with our board. And if Daniel Jeremiah is right, we got 7 players out of our 9 draftees in the top 150 on his board, so you're getting that value. You're getting best player available. And again, if you want me to grade it on positional needs, it's like a C because we missed out on some things. But if you want me to grade it on upside, general talent, and just being safe to not miss, I got to give this draft a B-, maybe a regular B. I'm gonna stick there. It was solid. Landon Dickerson turns out to be good. Some of these guys, McPherson starts to play earlier than we think. Kenneth Gainwell is more of an Alvin Kamara type running back, really helping out Miles Sanders. Well, then it shoots up, you know what I mean? But it has to be at least a B because we got the Heisman winner on the team, man. You got to understand that. So that's my general grades for these guys. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. Where do you grade these guys and the overall grade? With that being said, I go by Philly Mike. This is the Philly Talk Podcast. Until next time, y'all know what time it is. We out.